And so it's the structure. Is what's the basics of? Is there an easy way of describing what happens in Alzheimer's, or is that still being discovered?
Yeah. So it's still being discovered.
Mm-hmm.
What we do know is that there are two proteins that start to aggregate and accumulate in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
One is beta amyloid,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other is the tau protein that I study. What isn't known is what relative contribution they're making,
Mm-hmm.
and what the mechanisms are that may result in neurons dying.
Right.
So there are a lot of hypotheses out there that people are testing to try to figure out whether does A beta play a bigger role, does tau play a bigger role, are they working together somehow? Mm-hmm. And but by and large, people are targeting both A beta and tau as potential therapeutics. Okay. And so my lab has been interested in studying how tau misfolds and starts to aggregate in the brain for quite some time. And looking for therapeutics has always been something I've been interested in. So when Burl approached me and said, I've got these compounds to test, it seemed like a really good thing to do.
Yeah. Is this something that takes years, months?
Well, it'd probably take, first of all, with any sort of lead compound, you don't know whether it's going to get to a final compound.
Right.
And there have been lots of things that people have studied, and we don't have a cure yet, right? So it could, we could have something terrific in a year's time, or we could have a dead end in a year's time.
Yeah.
If things work well, it would still be a few years, right, before because it would have to go to animal testing and everything like that. Well, if it's something promising enough, you might be able to get, sell it to somebody, a big pharmaceutical company that had enough money to do the clinical trials. Neither we nor KU have enough money.
Is KU a respectable institution with Alzheimer's, or is there like a?
Well, recently, like in the last 2 years or so, I think the Alzheimer's Disease Center at KU Medical received national designation and funding, so it is an established national Alzheimer's Disease Center.
Okay, very good.
There's not as much Alzheimer's research on the Lawrence campus, but it's building.
Yeah.
There's Shirley Shidan-Yu and I are doing some collaborative works, and she's interested in mitochondrial dysfunction in Alzheimer's disease. And so we're looking at what role tau might play in that. She's interested in beta amyloid. So we're building a community. I would say at this point it's small compared to some of the other bigger schools, but I think it's an area that we're growing in.
Yeah. And
Eli's.
Right.
Eli Michaelis. There's
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody recognizes that it's a huge issue. It's a matter of priorities for KU. KU has you can't hire lots of people in every area that's interesting in science. But I think relative to the size of the institution, and given that the Lawrence campus is not a medical, in many cases, research into diseases like tau is centered in medical schools rather than the sort of non-medical school campuses. But given that we are not a med school campus here, and that it's not a huge place in terms of faculty numbers and stuff, I think there's a reasonable number of people that are working on Alzheimer's.
It's something new. It's probably been happening over the evolution of humans, right?
So one of the ideas is that medicine is outpacing evolution, and so that this is coming about because people are living longer than kind of the brain was designed to live.
Yeah.
At the same time, and that sounds like a reasonable thing, but at the same time, There have been people that come into these Alzheimer's disease center and brain banks that are in their 90s and over 100 that have brains that have no pathology.
Yeah.
And they test very, very well. So it's not like it has to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that the incidence is going up mainly because people are living longer, and it's just that to a degree the mechanisms that are designed to kind of help protect the brain against insult just don't work as well. Kind of the older that it gets.